We spark.
What's up, Mortgage Coach community? It is Friday. This is the Friday Mastermind. So the more engagement, the more questions, the better. If you are watching this in our YouTube channel, we still love questions and we still make sure they get answered. If there's something valuable you took away from this, put that in chat also. If you're watching this in Facebook, we're responding to you. So today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to get interviewed from Deborah. I think together her and I came up with the idea for this, and given that this was the week that the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel hit 20,000 subscribers, thought it'd be a good week to really focus on, one, how can loan officers learn? How can leaders who are responsible for the success of loan officers get value? And then also, what lessons can you take from the success of this YouTube channel and apply it as a loan officer in the marketplace to build community, to help people achieve success? Because at the end of the day, while I'm helping loan officers close more loans, make more money, be more professional, be more successful loan officers, as loan officers, at the end of the day, the real goal is not just closing loans for people. It's helping people achieve financial freedom. So we will kind of like 2/3 of this, Deb interviewing me, and then 1/3 of this is, guys, we're going to create a playbook for you on how you can kill it with YouTube. So Deb, I'm going to hand over the facilitation of the call to you.
I love it. I love that you're in the hot seat this time. But I really feel like the best place to start with this conversation is just, take us back to the moment that you decided you were going to be on YouTube and you were going to make this commitment, and kind of what was going on at that time that allowed you to say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And did you have any idea it would end up being what it is today? Like, was that always the vision? So tell us a little bit about the why first.
Yeah, well, certainly did not think, for over a decade, I would be creating content for YouTube. And nor did I know that YouTube was going to become the second largest search engine in the world, and that it would be a place where people learn and get entertained at scale, globally. So I didn't know that was happening. I don't know if it was like a 3-month, commitment I made to myself. It certainly wasn't even 1 year. But, we were coming out of the meltdown and there were no sales meetings taking place in the marketplace. Leadership, was sparse or scarce. And then I have had some very poor sales principles that I have built my success on, that I created Mortgage Coach around, that even when there was sales trainers doing sales meetings and do sales training, like these core principles were not included, or they were like buried, and one of those core principles is my advice makes a difference, like that was either an afterthought or it was just too under leveraged. And I always believe that advice is the ultimate value proposition, really, for a real estate agent or a mortgage professional. Advice beats price. That's become a quote that a lot of people say from stage, and I still say it from stage. Here we are a decade later, but that was like a core principle that, like, hey, I'm going to put on the best meeting, and these are like core principles, and then there were 2 others, that were on my mind: total cost selling. Like I learned how to total cost sell probably about 3 years before I founded Mortgage Coach. Where I really learned that, just showing, hey, here's your rate, here's your payment, here's your cash to close, but to like, hey, what's the cost over 5 years? And what if you took money and invested? So I learned how to do total cost selling years before I created Mortgage Coach. And part of creating Mortgage Coach was like creating automation to do total cost selling, which, by the way, guys, math doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. Fundamentally, 20 years from now, total cost selling will be a thing, and no one was teaching it and training it. And then last, when I think of the 4 core principles, in sales strategies and sales tactics that were just absent from the narrative, like no one was talking about it, which is what I call wow selling. You know, when I founded Mortgage Coach, I founded on this concept that selling is really easy if you wow someone. You know, if you meet with a borrower and literally within 5 minutes you surpass their expectations, like they're like, wow, I never thought of it that way. You know, wow, this guy is sharp. Wow, this person has my best interest in mind. If if you implemented wow selling, you'd kill it. So like it was a combination of getting 4 key principles into the marketplace, which by the way, I did have a selfish interest. I wanted to sell Mortgage Coach, and I had learned that if people understood how to do total cost sellings, they believed that advice beats price. They, believed all 4 of these things. One, they wouldn't stop using Mortgage Coach, and 2, they'd be like, oh, I need to jump into that bandwagon. So it was lack of leadership, 4 really key selling principles, concepts, frameworks that one, the industry didn't have, and 2, I would benefit from it, and I formulated a mission. So there you go.
So just for those who may not know your history a whole lot, when was it that you founded Mortgage Coach compared to when you launched the YouTube channel?
Well, 25 years ago, I founded
Okay. Okay.
And it was an immediate success. I mean, when I launched it from the stage of Sales Mastery, I spoke, and I don't know if it was 108 or 117 people followed me off stage and paid us $995 each. I mean,
you had been out of the origination game for some time.
No. I was one of the top 50 loan officers in the country, and
I never knew that.
Yeah, no, I was on the Sales Mastery stage for the second time because I was one of the, I was the D.D. Stonehue, the Jeremy Forcier.
What?
Yeah, you
See,
didn't
we
know
need to know this, Dave. I knew you
Yeah.
were kind of coined for your, being able to network with financial advisors and CPAs, but I didn't realize you were like legit on stage from an originator standpoint.
Yeah, no, Todd had interviewed me multiple times because I had,
Sweet.
back then, there was no one closing 200 loans a year. First of all, there was not a lot of people closing 200 loans a year. And 2, all from CPAs, financial planners, and past clients. Like I had a couple strategic realtor relationships, but that was like, I was literally the first one on a stage talking about that idea. And so Todd had asked me back for the second year. So he's like, oh, this is interesting. Business from CPAs and financial planners. This guy's killing it. Come do a panel. And then, I guess I did okay. And he said, hey, come back, and it was like one of those 15-minute TED Talks. Come back, and I don't know if I had 15 or 20 minutes, and tell us more. And then in between that year, I already had this total cost selling, wow selling. I mean, these were phrases that I was teaching my team. I had a big company with, I don't know if I had 100 loan officers working for me, but I mean, I had scaled a large mortgage company, and the Savage team did, over 200 loans a year. I was building a company, and when I founded Mortgage Coach, it was, I wanted to scale. Like I wanted it, one, to be a recruiting tool. So and really what I was solving for is I could hire a waiter or waitress that had great sales, they had great human skills, and they were hard workers, and I could have them total cost selling within a month. That's what I was solving for. And then I don't want to get too distracted from this because, I guess it is part of the YouTube story, but they couldn't do what I do, like Excel spreadsheet, HP 12C, it was too much. And so I went to Greg Wexler, my partner. Well, he wasn't my partner, but I said, hey, Greg, he was a computer nerd. Could you create something that, anyone could use? And I think he charged me 20 grand. And I'm like, that makes it a little faster for me, but no new person's going to do this. This still is something only I will do. I can't scale this as a competitive advantage. He goes like, well, that's going to be 100 grand. And I'm like, shit. And I was making a lot of money. So, I mean, I could have paid him 100 grand, but I said, you know what? I'm going to be speaking at Sales Mastery for the second time. And I know that other people are going to want this thing. Like, so how about this handshake deal? Like, this will be your night gig. This will be our night gig. We'll create Mortgage Coach. And then I guarantee some people are going to buy it. And I promise you the 100 grand. And so and he's like, you're good for it. It's a great idea. And over a year, like I'll get you the 100 grand over a year, so no problem. And then, I got the 100 grand back in a single day. And then I think we sold, my wife, who is a realtor, sold about another 500 over the next couple of months, where people would call up hey, is this that technology that Dave Savage uses? What's your credit card? And we sold about 500 on that story.
So can you imagine that journey had you not, like, let's just say if you didn't take this opportunity to be on YouTube, like imagine how different Mortgage Coach or just even the mortgage industry would be, and the number of users you now have because of the bandwidth of just the one-to-many approach. I mean, can you even imagine had you not done this and stuck with it?
Well, it became pretty successful before the meltdown. Just, every celebrity loan officer that used Mortgage Coach. And when they were on stage, I used Mortgage Coach. I mean, you name it, Barry Habib, Jim McMahon, Tim Brahim, Steve Marshall, like they were all personal friends of mine, and they all used Mortgage Coach, and they all talked about it on stage. And so that celebrity loan officer helped start the fire. Then the meltdown came and just, humbled everybody. And that is when YouTube. So like the first half of Mortgage Coach story was a side gig, Mortgage Coach, while again, I don't want to get too into when I decided to become a full-time technology entrepreneur. But I can tell you this, what Mortgage Coach is doing now, where it is completely changing the mortgage narrative, in America, and we have over 2 million, borrowers getting a total cost analysis every year. And we have over 20,000 loan officers who aren't loan officers, they're mortgage coaches. Like, YouTube is a very important part of that story, to be able to interview top producing loan officers that, like, yeah, I was a badass 20 years ago. But now I'm a technology entrepreneur at full time. And if it was just me creating content to, tell loan officers that should use Mortgage Coach, it would have a fraction of the influence that it has, because now I just interview the best of the best, share best practices, and it's changing the mortgage industry.
Well, and so it sounds like you really just took the same approach where you had the celebrity loan officer who was seen on stage, and it would just became, I mean, was it always you interviewing people like this, doing masterminds or productivity calls with other celebrity type loan officers who were already using? Had it always been like that from the get-go?
Well, so first of all, I was, I think at the time that I did it, the 3 celebrity loan officers, well, I was becoming one. Barry Habib had already been on a few stages. Jim McMahon had been on a few stages. I think Steve Marshall might have, beat me to the stage, and then me, and then Tim Brahim was kind of upcoming, and then I, like, Tim Brahim uses Mortgage Coach, so Tim Brahim was like the first, call it. I would interview him. I actually helped him create content before Loan Toolbox. And by the way, that is when I changed my strategy to not only leveraging celebrity loan officers, but creating celebrity loan officers. Like that was part of my goal was, what? I'm gonna find these Mortgage Coach users that are, stage worthy, successful, stage worthy communication skills, and I'm gonna shine a light on them. I'm gonna put them on a stage, my digital stage. And at first, it wasn't like it is now, where, there are loan officers that when I'm interviewing them are like, I learned the mortgage business on YouTube, and now I'm on this Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. But that was very intentional. It was intentional to build a platform and to shine a light on the how advice beats price, total cost selling, teach that with clients, and then create this community of, and celebrities, I don't really like that word. I like to think of it as teachers, like create this community of teachers. And I do like the word rock star, like be a rock star loan officer, but this celebrity term is not necessarily it. In my mind, it was always teachers that become mortgage rock stars. That was my internal language.
Well, and I didn't even realize, I mean, just from the recruiting aspect of, I mean, you're right. You could take someone who had the soft skills like a waitress and I'm thinking of even myself, I was a teacher and I used to always say when I would go meet with borrowers or even do an agent presentation, my like cape that I would wear was mortgage coach. That is the only way I felt like I had confidence before I was about to meet with a client or an agent. And I would say a prayer and I'm like, I hope they don't ask me how these numbers work because I have no idea. All I know is I can click a button and it does it for me. But it made me look like a rock star and I could like own that persona of just having that confidence. But then too, when, helping build Denise's brand, I don't believe the mortgage nerd could be positioned in the market space today as a true nerd had it not been because of the ability to show TCAs and show how you think differently and you show the cost over time. And that's the power of leveraging a thing like YouTube or social media when you choose to use data and the tools that not every loan officer uses. You have to be a mortgage coach. And that is, becoming a mortgage coach I like that term because it does allow you to sharpen the saw and be a part of a community that you've really attracted that's from abundance. I mean, what other industry do you see the elite willing to open up playbooks and be like, here's exactly how we do it?
I mean, I really don't know of another industry where there is so much transparency and I mean, and that is the product design, like the platform we've created, this mortgage coach, total cost analysis presentation, that is designed to make a loan officer, a mortgage coach, a rock star to every consumer, like wow them with epiphanies. I mean, I did coming out of the meltdown really become super clear and aware that, what, if every family got a total cost analysis and got, this transparency, one, the meltdown may not happen. And two, it can really start helping solve financial literacy. It can really help families build wealth with real estate. I mean, those were not the founding principles of mortgage coach. I mean, when I founded it, it was increase conversion, improve referrals, wow realtors. I mean, it was very self-serving as a loan officer, like I wanted to, I'm very competitive. And I just, I literally, one of my favorite quotes was mortgage coach, crush competition. Like that was a tagline we used all the time, crush your competition with mortgage coach. So it
It's
wasn't
awfully
until,
savage of you, Dave.
yeah, that's my last name. I mean, I'm competitive. Anybody that
The
knows me,
savage team. Like,
I don't
how
care whether we're
awesome is
playing
that?
ping pong, horseshoes, like in my household with my son, we like compete about with everything. And
Aren't you known to like arm wrestle people too? Did I make that up or did I see that
there's,
somewhere?
there's very few people that can have ever beat me in arm wrestling. Yes, that is true.
Okay, so if you're listening to this, whether on YouTube or on Facebook, I think that's a challenge accepted. Can we get someone to nominate somebody in the chat?
Well, now that I'm a little older,
Oh,
one, my wife is like, stop doing that. And well, there's probably still very few people in the mortgage business that can
look
beat
at
me in
you.
arm wrestling, but that's a whole separate topic.
But Dave, so I've got to ask, and I know you're like super transparent, but how old are you? Can I ask
58.
that?
Yeah,
Okay.
June
Do you
13th,
know how many
13th.
clients I meet with and they think, average loan officer is about 54, 55, that they just can't do video or they're not tech like, oh, but I could never do that. And you're my go-to example where I'm like, listen, look
Look
at
at
Dave.
this
I
little
thought,
guy. Check out the
yeah,
gray on this redheaded dude.
yes. And you're doing it. And to think that you did it 10 years ago, and you've always been an innovator, clearly, like early adopter, your chief innovation officer with Sales Boomerang and Mortgage Coach. So it's not really super shocking that you're such a creative, but here you are 58, you're still learning tech. Like you figured out how to use Zoom, how to connect it with, your Facebook so that you can stream live, and you do this all over the country because you're traveling all the time. But what would be your advice to those out there who they have the want to, but they're fearful of, am I too old? Is it too late? Should I start now? What would you say to those listening?
Well, first of all, the fact that I have become this innovator leveraging technology, there's like two forces that have come into play in my story. One, I am extremely competitive. I mean, I like to win. I like to wow people. And then two, I am ADD and dyslexic. Like, it's not like a joke, like, no, I took Ritalin in school and probably needed to. Yes, I had a third grade reading level in seventh grade and, like got remedial reading, like barely graduated from college, but I was an athlete. I'm competitive. And so when I got into selling, it was just like, oh, spell check. Like I could go meet someone. And by the way, I took typing in high school because there was a lot of beautiful girls in high school doing typing. I took cooking and typing, which, by the way, I still love to cook. I still love to cook. So the two most valuable classes I took in high school were cooking and typing, because I could type 80 words a minute and I could cook. But again, I didn't do it for any other reason. It's seriously, like, school was really hard. Cool people, good looking girls, those were my classes. And, but so for me, technology, like, oh, spell check. Oh, I can put something in a CRM, type it in there and remember to call someone, and then like when video came out, I was like, wait, I don't have to type. I don't have to worry about spell check. I will literally never misspell a word with video. Bring it on. So my whole technology adoption is driven by competitiveness, and you could call them deficiencies. I call them blessings, but through that. So I would just tell anyone that, guys and gals, if analytically think, does video save time? If I was to do it, does video, is it modern? Is that how people consume data? Yes. And if you're not doing it, it's because you're not that competitive, or you're not competitive enough. Because if you're competitive and you want to win, then you're going to figure out how to do something that will save you time and improve your impact in the sales process. It's really that simple. It's just, it's a lack of competitiveness, or it might be a lack of awareness. So that's my take on it, but that's my story. I mean, I'm an innovator, a tech nerd, because I took typing in high school and I'm competitive.
Well, and I think also just being around you, your core values of wanting to always leave someone better than where they were, or always coming from contribution. I mean, you just look at the community that's built. You're such a giver. And for those of you, like if you've ever been in an Uber with Dave, he's asking the driver all kinds of questions. He's getting to know the guy. You're such a people person, and it makes people feel, welcomed and seen and heard. And I've had several people actually say that about you who've been around you, just how easy you are to approach and likable. And so I think having that core value, and anyone who's listening, and typically if you are a mortgage coach person, you share that same belief. If you want to educate, you want to help spread financial literacy. And so my challenge to those that I meet with is, if that is true and that's really your value, then why play small and keep it a secret? Why not leverage social or video or a YouTube channel that is binge worthy, that people can go and learn? Because if you don't, is that really aligning with what you say you really care about? And this is all free. That's the other, it's not like you have to pay for, like back in the day when you had newspaper ads and magazines and billboards and park benches. It's like, this is you just literally having to care enough to share something of value that people don't know because they're not taught this in school, and post it. But for some reason, we still get in our own way. And did you ever have issues with that? Like, oh, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. Or did you have coaching on your presentation skills? And
I mean,
like,
that's another thing that I got over young. I mean, first of all, I have red hair. I had to be the whitest guy in school that I went to. So, I mean, I
you were
am
in
not.
California. Did you not
Yeah,
like burn like crazy?
I'm not your typical looking dude. So I got over those things in high school, or I don't know, it took me after high school because I was so white, I was self-conscious in shorts, through most of grade school and high school. So I mean, I came with, I was born with some, not your typical dude, and I got over it. And so no, that was not the hard part, but I did go through very difficult times. Again, I was very popular and very, active socially through high school, through all schools. But by the way, that's kind of driven through curiosity. I mean, I think it is a gene thing. Like I think born with an uncommon level of curiosity that has served me well. But here's the deal, guys. I want to make sure a couple things come out in this conversation. That one, anybody can do it, and I do want to make sure some very specific things about the YouTube channel. I had Mike Farr sent me a text this week, and Mike Farr was the head of production for Finance of America. I mean, just an incredible story as an originator that became a branch manager, that became a regional leader, that became a head of production, and now he's managing a branch. And he sent me a text unsolicited. It was just incredible. It was like such a validation. He's like, hey, your YouTube channel is like insane. I mean, I don't want to get distracted and read it right now, but he's just like, I have literally allocated an hour a day for the next 2 weeks, and I'm 9 days in, so I've literally watched, and by the way, his text came after the interview this Tuesday with Denise, where, in a minute I'll pull up the thing and read it just because it was so good. And I was like, that's why I keep doing it. Like why I started it, that's in the past. Why I did it until last year when I did our private equity deal with LLR, and I'm now merging the companies with Sales Boomerang. I wanted to get to that 2 million. Remember, I'm very competitive, and coming out of the meltdown, it was like 20,000 loan officers creating 2 million TCAs, and leadership content and interviewing top producers is a strategy that I was committed to. But now, like, why did I take the role of chief innovation officer? Why am I more pumped up this year than any other year about what I'm going to do with YouTube, and I'm going to interview executives? Is because it's like the snowball's rolling down the hill. It's gotten pretty big, but now if I can really change leaders like Mike Farr at scale, and then I'm also going to start interviewing more CEOs and more heads of production, and if I can really start, now, changing the brain, like, thing, like within 2 years, maybe 3, 2025, for sure by 2027, the majority of loan officers and the majority of families will get this total cost analysis. And so that's my change, that's my mission. But I do, maybe we go a few more minutes on this, because I really also want to, out of this call and this conversation, want to empower loan officers that you can change your community. You can change people that you want to change the way they think about mortgage debt, because we really do need to change the narrative in America around debt, mortgage debt, and how to use debt for good. So anyways, just some thoughts.
Let's keep on that, because if you were a loan officer today and you had to give like your top 3, action steps to be able to launch something similar to what you have on Mortgage Coach to really build that community and change that narrative, like what would be your advice for people of how to get started, maybe who to prospect to interview, who would you interview if you're a mortgage professional? What would that look like?
So I'll answer that question within the context of how I did it.
Okay.
First of all, a why, and put it in writing. Like anyone that knows me, that works with me, I use a lot of Google Docs. I do Evernote, and I always start, like, my process is objective. Like, what am I trying to accomplish? And I write it. Well, I type it. I don't write it because spell check. So I type it in Evernote or in a Google Doc. Usually if it's just for me, I start with Evernote, but if it's going to be a shareable document, I put it in Google. And then some goals, like what are my goals? Why am I doing this? And then like, what are my strategies? You know, so, and I've been doing that, not my entire 36 years as a, you know, a business person, but for more than a decade. And I did start with why. It was also the time when I saw that Simon Sinek TED Talk, starts with why, which by the way, that not only was a critical piece of content and message that started the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, but it also changed the direction of Mortgage Coach, where I came up with this 2 million family BHAG. Coming out of the meltdown, I saw Simon's thing. I came up with this 2 million people BHAG, 40,000 loan officers. And then, you know, YouTube became a strategy within that. But I would just tell you as a loan officer, follow that. Like, why are you doing it? What are your goals? What are your strategies? Now, I picked the strategies of interviewing rock stars and finding rock stars, you know, like creating some new rock stars, finding some rock stars. And that was very strategic. Like if I would have just created my own content, because I am a sales trainer, I do speak on stages, and I could have done what a lot of people do, where I'm the expert and I'm going to teach you and train you. You know, like I still one day I'm going to write a book on wow selling, but you know, I might call it wow selling. I own the domain wow selling, but so far I've always decided, you know what, that's going to take a lot of time, and that's, it's just going to take a lot of time. And I'm the CEO of a company. You know, I'm running a C-suite. I'm you know, selling, you know, I'm running and building a business. So if I had to create that content myself, either one, it wouldn't be that good because I don't have much time to give to it, or, you know, it just, I picked the strategy. I'm going to interview people, you know, so that, you know, I am leveraging other people to create my content. And so, and even today, I have social media people say, oh, you should do more short form content where it's you, like Rene Rodriguez, our buddy, is like, he wants me to be the rock star. And by the way, I'm not going to say I'm never going to do that, but I did do some soul searching coming into this year, you know, 2023, where I decided, you know what? No, I'm going to keep being the guy. I'm going to, you know, one, it would take me even more time. So I'd have to commit more time to this. And I'm selling, I'm running, I'm not the CEO, but I'm still a C-suite executive. And so I've made the strategic decision. I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to interview people. And I'm not saying you should do that. Like if you're listening to this, like you do you, but in order to do something that's sustainable, you know, like it wouldn't have been sustainable if I had to create all the content. Like maybe I would have done it for a month, maybe I would have done it for 3 months, maybe I would have done it for 6 months, maybe I would have done it for a year. But by having this interview strategy as the core of my YouTube channel, like it's sustainable, it's valuable, it's synergistic with my core job. It makes me smarter. And so objective, goals, strategy. I picked the strategy of interviewing and creating rock stars. What's your strategy? So those are some thoughts.
So I was one of those people where I was constantly pushing on Dave and I'm like, you should do this, or I would send him little clips.
Yeah.
And you're very disciplined at making sure everything goes through that filter of, is it aligning with the greater purpose and mission of what you've done and created with Mortgage Coach? And so that's always resonated with me, of trying to get more disciplined and not just saying yes to everything, but stopping and pausing. And you've been a great mentor when I've asked certain questions of, you know, how should I handle this? It's always, well, how does it align with your purpose, your visions? What are you saying yes to? And then staying true.
And is it sustainable? Is it sustainable? Like, you know, like I said, and that's kind of where I landed this year. No, I'm not going to start doing my own. By the way, I am going to do some of that. Like, I do think I need to do a better job of like netting out the week. I mean, there's so much content coming into our YouTube channel, and now as sales, boomerang, and mortgage coach, we are creating so much value that I do need to do more solo leadership. So there will be some of that, but the core of this channel will still be interviews. Because, and that's the other thing, just so you clear on my process, it's objective, it's goals, it's strategies, and then there's outcomes. You know, like one of my outcomes was 20,000 loan officers doing 2 million. So make sure you have an outcome that's not just a social media outcome. And then of course, you know, coming into this year, one of the outcomes I wanted was 20,000 subscribers of Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. And we started it, I don't remember if it was 14 and some change or 15, but we've added, you know, 5-ish thousand new subscribers. I'm actually going to get really, I'm going to throw out a big one for 2023 and say we're going to have 30,000. So I'm going to double what the goal was last year. But and remember, guys, don't just want subscribers, like how many views? Like we elevated our views by like 30% this year, and now we're getting over 30,000, you know, views per month, and our top 10 are getting over 5,000 views. So there's this subscribers, there's this influence, and then guys, don't forget leads, measurable leads. You know, like I would not still be doing this if I did not get leads. You know, I had the president of a top 100 mortgage company reach out and schedule a meeting because my team watches you on your YouTube channel. I've watched some of this. It's really good. I'm doing some planning for 2023. You know, will you spend 30 minutes with me? You're like, this guy is a very big client that's probably going to become a very big client of ours. And he reached out because of our YouTube channel. It was like thanking me for the meeting. Hey, thanks for the time. And I'm like, hey, thank you. This is my dream conversation. And so, you know, you got to make sure you're measuring those outcomes so that you're not just busy, you're doing business.
Well, and you know, I want to also point out that it's not like that happens overnight. So this has been, you know, a decade of a commitment and consistency.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And so that overnight success, and that is where I do see, just from the being in the trenches with some of the loan officers, is the typical shelf life is like 5 to 6 months. They do video pretty consistently, and they have this false expectation of what types of leads or subscribers they should have. And looking at context, like starting 10 years ago versus starting now with the number of uploads, you know, it's a different level of competition. So the best advice I have for people is you've got to get started. It's like investing. The soonest time to start is yesterday, or as soon as possible. But then the next best is, you know, today. So, you know, were there times that you had people who were telling you this isn't going to work, or why are you doing this, or it's a waste of time because your results weren't what they were just yet? And your screen just went blank. So I don't know if that means, oh, there you are. Okay.
I went and got some water real quick.
Oh,
yeah.
My bad. I just called you out.
Yeah. So, you know, you did. So before I answered that specific question, you know, I do want to share something that has been absolutely not why I started doing this, but it's also been one of the biggest reasons why it's been sustainable, and I've kept doing it. And I would recommend that anyone that takes this on, because what Deborah said, it will take time until it's generating, you know, qualified sales ready leads. You know, like that doesn't happen quick. But probably the biggest benefit that's just been amazing is I'm better. You know, like when you create content, you interview, it's like reading. For every hour you put in to creating content, you're getting 3 hours worth of personal development. At least the kind of interviews I do, where I'm interviewing, you know, like Denise Donahue, and I'm getting value. Like that was like reading a 10-hour book. So the personal development, and then you get better at your craft. You get better at selling. You get better at influencing. The whole value prop that I have of my advice makes a difference my advice makes more of a difference because of all these people that I interview. So I become a more valuable human being. I become, a more skilled person. So I just want to call that out. And that's part of what's made this so sustainable. And like part of why it's like part of my weekly rituals. Tuesday interview, 9 o'clock. Friday mastermind, 9 o'clock. Like, even if no one showed up, I am getting smarter and better. Now, this one where I'm doing all the talking and getting interviewed, I don't know if I'm building any new skills here other than talking about myself. But so that's that. So remind me of your question again, because I just talk so long.
Well, I want to add on to what you said about the personal development side is that is probably the most unexpected part is you are able to grow, but what you're also able to do, and I'm super excited. I won't say the names yet. We can leave it for next month so we can keep everyone, looking out for the details. But we have two very big guests that we're interviewing in January that are outside of specifically mortgage. And Dave, I got to tell you, all I had to do was DM these people and I could reference and leverage the mortgage coach community. And I threw your name out there because I know you have a big name and your influence. And I'm like, look at the YouTube channel and look at how many people we have in the community. And my confidence of being able to reach out to these people to then interview and bring value to this community, it was easy. And people say yes, because you have a show that you put on and you actually have an audience. And so, you mentioned Simon Sinek. That was one of my favorite mortgage coach interviews that you did. And my mind immediately went to, you could have a favorite author. If you had a show, look at how you could leverage your show where now you have a purpose and a reason to reach out to these people and you just talk to them and you get to learn and ask all the questions that you want to ask because you have the microphone.
Yeah, no, it is the gift that keeps on going,
Like Coach Carvel, that was a great
oh,
one that was outside. I mean, the fact that you got Ryan Serhant and Sean Benosian on the same, I mean,
Jocko Willick, Darren,
yeah.
uh, you know, Donald Miller, like some of the,
Mhm.
and again, the list goes on, but one more important thing that I would share with everyone, just because I think it's so important that you're intentional about everything that you do, how you design this kid. By the way, can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Not sure why it's having that little subscribe button there, but it's important that you're really strategic about not only creating great content, but then integrating it into what you do and how you distribute it, so you'll notice that we've got this best of 2022. I have these shows, the Tuesday, the Friday, the realtor strategies, so for my customer, loan officers and leaders of loan officers, I've designed this to be, the most valuable thing they could do on social media and to replace some of their Netflix times with mortgage content. So I've been very thoughtful about how I designed it. I mean, even the playlists, we do have too many playlists. So by the way, anyone that wants to critique that, I am kind of the visionary that started this thing, and we need to rein it in. That's one of our goals this year is let's organize it a little tighter because it's become this huge, bale of hay and the needles are in the haystack.
Library. Yeah,
this library. I do want to remind you guys, if you love Denise Donahue, you can, type in her name or any person's name. And this was one thing, I told Mike Farr, he called me up and he was like, how can I, get even more value? He's like, well, he asked, I'd like to see an interview from such and such. And I go, oh, you can go search their name and then browse topics. Which one looks most interesting? Which one looks, most on point? So I would just make sure I give the advice to everyone, be thoughtful and strategic. I go to a lot of loan officers' YouTube channel. And it's what you as a loan officer want, not necessarily what a consumer wants. And that, by the way, that's another, now this is just my opinion. I'd love to hear what you think on this. I think loan officers also do it, and they're very transactional. Like, oh, I'm going to teach you how to get a mortgage transaction. So it's got a bunch of mortgage how-tos, which, by the way, should you have all the mortgage FAQs and how-tos within your YouTube channel? Absolutely. But here's the deal, guys. People don't get loans because they want loans. You know, they get loans because they want homes. And the true American dream is not just a home, it's financial freedom. It's a home that's debt free. So I would really push, like if I was a loan officer in the market, it would not, my YouTube channel would not be how to get a loan. And all the, you know, would it have what APR is? Absolutely, because that's a commonly asked question. And you know, that would be a good resource, you know, all the commonly asked questions that you go through when buying a home. But I would have a lot of how to achieve financial freedom faster, how to become debt-free faster. You know, I would have a lot of, you know, I would be interviewing the local mayor. You know, I would be interviewing the top financial planners in your local business journal. I would be interviewing, you know, top CPA, top financial planner, realtors, you know, that call it the captain of the wealth team, you know, like who are the local referral-based providers that help people achieve wealth? Like I would be interviewing those people. And then when I try to get a local or a national economist in, a national author that aligned around my values, absolutely. But I would be trying to create a place where people achieve financial freedom faster. By the way, through real estate, you know, like I would be interviewing successful investors, you know, a teacher that became a millionaire with real estate, you know, on a teacher's salary. Would I put that on my YouTube channel? Heck yeah, I'd be looking for that. A fireman.
What a great client story that would be.
Yeah, a fireman or a policeman, you know, a first responder that became a millionaire, you know, the right way. I would just be looking for these local stories. And remember, guys, like, let's say you got the local fire chief, you interviewed him, it talked about how he did life his way, how he achieved this financial freedom. He did all this. He's going to share it. He's going to get it out there. So now you're using YouTube to achieve a bigger goal than get a loan on time at a good rate. So that would be another piece of strategic advice I have.
So, and tell me what you think about this. I tell all of my clients every Wednesday is their day to host their show day. And I tell them, you know, be the digital mayor of your community, really build the community, have different experts that you're interviewing. And I always show them, I'm like, the Mortgage Coach channel is a perfect example. And it takes a little bit of pressure off of you because you don't have to feel like you're the one presenting and has to have all the know-all. You're just leveraging someone else's IP and letting them be kind of the hero on the stage by sharing what they do and what common questions they have in their field. And so I alternate between things that's relevant in the times, whether it's, you know, top divorce attorney, CPA, but also try to throw in some community things. Like these are the top golf courses in our area or top venues, just because in my mind, I think of those who are either moving to your area or when they're using YouTube as a search engine. Maybe it's top school districts or, you know, the local football teams going to state. Maybe you have a student athlete that you interview because the community loves to see just community things. So what are your thoughts on having some of that mixed in with the financial literacy?
Well, I mean, here's the deal. First of all, the compass in the framework matters most. And I'm not going to share this with everyone, but I will show you an Evernote that I have. Actually, hang on, because you can see my other Evernotes. Let me pull up one Evernote on this. This is like, you know, my personal, you know, journal Evernotes. That's what I use personally. And then like when I want to share it and collaborate with people, I'll put it in a Google Doc. So first of all, what's your strategy? What's your mission? You know, like I had this thesis, you know, and I'll read it out loud. You know, I believe that, and by the way, there'll be lots of misspellings. There will be good punctuations, although, you know, my spell check gets some of it. But I believe that sales leadership and sales training is very weak in the mortgage space. And the training that does exist doesn't understand or teach core strategies and principles, I believe. that are most effective for LOs, lenders, and most borrowers. So I'm going to do, and by the way, this was a note I took from my original thesis when I started the channel. So I'm going to do weekly sales meetings and trainings, experiences that leverage free local social media like YouTube. Now, by the way, this has been edited because when I started, it was just YouTube. You know, I didn't have a Facebook strategy. I didn't have a LinkedIn strategy. So this has been edited and updated. But this is, you know, I started this a long time. And then I had this compass, you know, like my advice makes a difference. Advice always beats price, total cost selling. Wow. So by the way, loan officers, I would, if I was a loan officer, one of my core principles, there's a financial literacy crisis in America. That would be a compass, you know, north or south. There is an affordability crisis in America, you know. Personally, if I did it, you know, my advice makes a difference would still be one of those. So if I was doing this, I just gave you three. I don't know what the fourth one would be. You know, and I'd have goals and I'd have strategies and I'd have outcomes. So I guess my answer to you is, Deborah, to answer that question, I'd have to know what the mission was, what the core values of this loan officer was, is interviews what they're going to do, and then, you know, once you get clear on this compass, the strategy, this mission, the content gets easier, and you know, that's my answer.
Well, it's a perfect answer, because that's usually the one that I push back on with clients. And I had a business coach who taught us, you start with, you know, purpose, vision, value, so kind of similar, and then you build out the objectives. Because what can happen is people say, I want to do social media. Well, why do you want to do social media? How does it align with the bigger purpose or vision of the business? Because chances are, if you're just doing items, and this is even feedback for branch managers or leaders, when you project your activity goals on your team and they don't have a buy-in of the bigger purpose, then chances are they may quit on those activities because they don't actually value the activity, or it doesn't align with their greater purpose. So, you know, it's the end of the year and kind of the start of 2023. It's something to get really clear on, and sounds like the setback of the meltdown for you ended up being a set up, because it allowed you to have more clarity and to get more diligent with certain things. And this past year may be someone's setback that is going to provide the setup for next year. So that's a great starting point for everyone, with just how clear are you on your bigger purpose? And is it your purpose, or is it adopted from somebody else's? You know, kind of take some time to reflect and audit that.
Well, you know, you just said something that, and we're in the last 5 minutes, but guys, this may be the most important point of all, you know, because going through that 36 years in the business, I've seen, I don't know if it's 5 or 6, you know, shifts like this in the market. You know, and in 2008 was by far, you know, the most brutal shift in my 36-year career. But this is number 2. I mean, this is pretty darn tough and brutal. And the biggest gift I got that shift was a higher purpose. You know, that I went from, I'm selling a sales conversion tool that helps loan officers make more money, to I'm changing how people get into debt in America. I'm putting a real dent in the financial literacy crisis in America, and I'm going to change how people get into debt, you know, and they're going to go from, you know, buying money, what's my rate, what's my payment, what are my transactional closing costs, to, hey, does that help me move up into my nicer home faster? Hey, does that help me achieve that financial freedom faster? And like, I changed the game, you know. And by the way, the game I'm playing now is so much more of a badass game than, oh, I want to have, you know, 10,000 SaaS customers that pay me X million, and my EBITDA profit margin is X, and I want to have a Mercedes, and I want to have an X million-dollar house. And, you know, by the way, I do drive a nice car. I got a Tesla, and I do have a nice house.
And a
But
Bronco. I still like the Bronco.
yeah, no, I have some really nice things now, but it all came from, I'm going to change how people get into debt in America, and I'm going to put a debt on financial thing. And that all happened from being humbled, being in a not a good place, and really just trying to be happy, like be happy about my day, because I certainly wasn't. My retention rates for Mortgage Coach were horrible. My business had shrunk. I had to go through multiple layoffs, but I came out of it with a higher purpose. Paul gave me a little advice on sustainable versus sustainable. By the way, Paul, if you've listened to my interviews, I mispronounce a lot of words, and it's kind of a joke in our family, and I always will. I mean, I still can't pronounce, so I think it's Chipotle. I don't know. I pronounce Chipotle different every day. I invent new words every day, Paul. So you are 100% right, but I'm reading what you wrote here, and I don't even know if I can do it right. Like just how my mind works. Like it, I
Denise
say
and I are
words
the
wrong.
same way. And like, I didn't even realize you were saying it wrong, Dave, because I
Yeah,
say
no, I
words wrong.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, and Paul, hilarious story. When we founded Mortgage Coach, the founding tagline was intelligent presentations for loan officers. So it's Mortgage Coach, intelligent presentations for loan officers. We spent, I don't know if it was $500 or $1,000, and we built this booth, Mortgage Coach, intelligent presentations for loan officers. A dude comes up to me it was a 2-day event, comes up about halfway through it, and he like hits me on the shoulder. He's like, "You spelled intelligent wrong."
Oh
And
my gosh, that's
I'm like,
hilarious.
well, first of all, if you say so. And then I go like, because I don't know how to spell it. And then great, I spelled it. And he's like, "Oh shit."
That's
So,
awesome.
by the way, we had sales mastery, a couple weeks later, and we're just like, we're not going to spend under $500. So when I sold those, 100 plus TCAs, we spelled intelligence wrong. And we were talking about, and so anyways, noted, Paul, but I can't fix it. So just no, I would like to fix that and say words properly, but I just can't do it.
Well, Dave, I
By the way,
also want to make,
Paul, one last thing, and I don't care. So that's the other thing I would
yeah.
tell anyone who creates content. Like, I would have made my hair brown back in kindergarten if I could. I would have a killer savage tan and be this Greek brown goddess if I could. But I can't change how I look. I can't change how my brain works, and I don't care. And I think that's really important when it comes to creating video and social media. It's, love what you can do, love what you are good at, and don't care about what you can't fix. So just another, I think, important note for the community.
Well, and what you guys can't tell is Dave is like a beast. Like when you meet him in person, he is a lot taller. You can't tell height on Zoom, but we can't end this call without also just highlighting the fact that what this community and what you've built in the YouTube channel, the gift that it has not only given to us from an educational standpoint, but I know the rock stars that you've had on stage, you've really helped launch their careers. And it's a credibility thing when they can post on their social that they're being interviewed on Mortgage Coach. I mean, the gift that has done for those in the brands that they have built, and even myself. Like I could not be, and Plug and Play would not be where it's at today had it not been because of this community and for you allowing me to share value each week. So thank you on behalf of all the rock stars that you interview, and just your purpose, and just you being you and being so committed and relentless at staying true to who you are while also always innovating and thinking bigger. So we appreciate you, Dave.
Well, before I take that, thank you, by the way. But here is truly the deal. I mean, if it was not for the collective, your sister, Jeremy Forcier, Shayla Gifford, Dan Keller, and the list goes on, Kelly Zitlow, Josh Metal, I mean, Wally Elderberry, like hundreds. If it was not for all these, givers, high achievers that have achieved the right way, in my opinion, advice over price. My advice makes a difference. Like, you have to be driven to help people, but all these people have done it. And then everybody watching this and anything I've ever done without you watching it. We just got Walt, now I have interviewed Walt before, Walt Schultz, but haven't read what you said, Walt, because I'm talking. But if it wasn't for people like watching this and putting these ideas into actions, I wouldn't still be doing it. So really, thank you. And then for you, well, there's no doubt, I'm sure, being on this channel and having the influence has helped plug and play, and it's helped you personally. I mean, you have given immense, like immeasurable value to this community. So Deborah Bird. All right, guys. Well, hey, we're a minute over. Any last thing you want to say, Deborah, before we wrap it up?
No, just, any of y'all, even if you're listening after the fact, put in the comments if you guys have people that you think would be beneficial for us to interview next year. Obviously, Dave will put it through his filter as always, but if there's topics or guests that you want to suggest, then make sure, be selfish and let us know, and we'll get after it.
Yeah, and I do want to put, I know we're over, but I literally want this channel to go to 10,000, another 10,000. So we want to get to 30. Because by the way, I'm trying to change the mortgage industry. And so the more influence, the more subscribers, the faster we're going to do it. So help share this thing, please. Like if you've gotten value from this channel, please, like you want to say thank you, get more people to subscribe to it. Make sure, help us with the algorithms. When you watch something and you liked it, give it a like. Like there's a lot of people on social media that don't participate. My wife being one of them, she never comments. She thinks like, should I like this or not? And that's the other thing. Like if you got value, or if it's someone that you care about and you want to help them achieve their goals in social media, liking helps them, commenting helps them. And by the way, it also helps you. I mean, if you work with Deborah and she shows you how to blow up and be a rock star, in your local community as a mortgage professional, liking other people's things and commenting on it helps you grow your influence. And so in closing, your mortgage, if you're watching this, you're a mortgage, we can change how people get into debt America. We can make America a more financially healthy country. We can help reduce divorce rates in America. Literally, if families get financial literacy education and we take the stage as mortgage professionals, and by the way, we take the stage in a smart, intelligent, sustainable, I don't know how to say it, sustainable way, guys, we can really put a dent in how people do life in America. So get after it. So thanks, Deborah.
Have a good day.
This is a wrap,
change some
everybody.
lives.
Take care of it.